Thank you, Vincenzo. Welcome everyone to San Diego Community Power Solar Advantage Program, Post Request for Offers, our RFO webinar. Thank you for being here today. We are going to jump quickly into the agenda. We're going to start off with a little bit about who San Diego Community Power is, and then, of course, an overview of the Solar Advantage Program itself, followed by the RFU overview for bidders, so you can feel confident in your submission. And furthermore, as number 4, the requirements associated with submitting a bid. And then, as Vincenzo mentioned earlier, we're going to close out with some Q&A. So let's get started. As you can see here, I'm joined by my 2 esteemed colleagues. Morgan Adam, he is our Senior Local Development Manager and our expert on local projects. And then Vincenzo Tarantino here is our marketing manager. He's going to be shepherding us through this call. And my name is Tessa Tobar. I am the subject matter expert of the Solar Advantage program here at SD Community Power. So first, we're going to start off with a little bit about who Community Power is. And with that, San Diego Community Power is a not-for-profit public agency formed in 2019 that since February 2022 has provided reliable and affordable electricity to customers across the cities of San Diego, Chula Vista, Encinitas, La Mesa, and Imperial Beach. Once we're fully launched here, we have become the 2nd largest CCA in California. And I want to take a moment to recognize and appreciate the advocacy and support from our local leaders, residents, community-based organizations, and other CCAs in achieving our collective goals of providing 100% renewable energy as soon as feasibly possible. And as we go to the next slide, here's a little bit about how it works. So Community Power was formed to purchase energy on behalf of its communities or member agencies. This means that Community Power is different from the traditional investor-owned utilities or IOUs, and that we do not own or operate the energy grid. That is still handled by San Diego Gas and Electric. And instead, Community Power purchases the energy needed to supply its customers by contracting directly with renewable energy providers. This in turn introduced competition where there wasn't competition before, and more local control into the energy market, allowing Community Power to negotiate for cleaner and more local energy at competitive rates, and to reinvest revenues in community projects and programs like this one. As a community provider of clean electricity, Community Power has the opportunity to support energy efficiency and decarbonization programs, develop more local renewable energy resources in the San Diego region, and invest in innovative clean technologies and energy-related job training. We do this through our board of directors that includes 1 elected official from each member agency and is supported by a community advisory committee or CAC that includes 2 community representatives from each member agency. And with that, we're going to get into our second agenda item, which is all going to be about what the Solar Advantage program is. Starting off with a background on community solar in the region, its current structure dates back to 2022 with the launch of the Disadvantaged Communities Green Tariff, or DAC-GT, the Community Solar Green Tariff, or CSGT, and lastly, the Green Tariff Shared Renewable Program, or GTSR. These Green Tariff programs are operationalized across the state in a number of CCA and IOU service territories for 1 or more of these green access programs. Community Power has been a regional administrator of DAC-GT since 2023. And with the creation of these programs, there was a follow-up piece of legislation that mandated a 3-year evaluation structure of these green access programs. So this 3-year evaluation recently concluded, and there was a final decision. And the final decision did a couple of things. One, it modified the program structure of DAC-GT, and it eliminated CSGT, moving that megawatt allocation over to the DAC-GT program and eliminating the CSGT program. And it also requires us to run at least one solicitation per year for this program. And we have ran one solicitation. We're opening the second solicitation, and it will be open for 5 months. In regards to the siting requirements, there were some other changes as well. So the first one being that before, DAC-GT projects needed to be located in an eligible DAC within SDG&E service territory. Now that has been expanded to be within 5 miles of a disadvantaged community. So this will open up land availability for projects. The CPUC is reassessing the cost cap so that we can pay more for projects to increase the viability of bids we receive. And it'll take into account more accurate and recent market numbers so that community power may be able to compensate our developers more to incentivize building projects for this program. You'll see that community power was allocated a total of 20.6 megawatts from the California Public Utilities Commission, and as so forth, this makes us the largest megawatt allocation in the state of California. We expect to fill the eligible program capacity allocation over multiple RFOs, this being our second. And this is the RFO that launched on April 7th of this year. You may have already noticed the use of Solar Advantage as our brand name, and this is because we'll be using this brand name for our customers. However, since solicitation materials reference the CPUC approved program, designed and named, which is DAC-GT, this name is used throughout this presentation as well. And so here we are, we're taking a look at a screenshot of our webpage. You can see the link or URL in the top left-hand corner for your viewing. Once you select the programs a little bit towards the right upper hand, you will get a drop-down to which you can select the Solar for Our Communities webpage. This is a webpage dedicated to the Solar for Our Communities programs here at Community Power. And in the bottom right, you can see this box. And so that will direct you to our solicitations webpage. And we ask that you visit this webpage frequently for any updates. And of course, the solicitation documents themselves. It also includes programmatic requirements, a bit more detail, and our official solicitation timeline as well. So now, here's our overview of the Solar Advantage program. Again, it was designed by the California Public Utilities Commission with 3 goals in mind. The first one being that it was designed to increase renewable energy generation among residential customers that are living in disadvantaged communities per Coronavirus Green 4.0. It also offers 100% renewable energy to residential customers who are eligible for the California Alternate Rates for Energy or CARE, or the Family Electric Rate Assistance Program, otherwise known as FARA. So these 2 discounts. And then on top of those discounts, it provides an additional 20% off your electricity and delivery portion of the customer's bill compared to their otherwise applicable tariff. This, on top of a CARE or FARA discount, will amount to around a 50% overall bill discount for our eligible customers. So you might be wondering what a disadvantaged community is. Per the CPUC, they have defined DACs as census tracts that either 1, score at or above the 75th percentile in the current Cal EPA Coronavirus Screen 4.0 on a statewide basis, or 2, are one of the census tracts that score in the highest 5% of Coronavirus Screen's pollution burden, but does not have an overall score. Community Power has over 40 eligible census tracts located in the cities of Chula Vista, National City, and the city of San Diego. And as a reminder, we have our project sites that can be located within 5 miles of an eligible DAC. And as you can see on the right here, those are our qualifying neighborhoods within our service territory. Let's move on to some of our program requirements. These include, and you'll hear them a few times, is that the Solar Advantage eligible customers will receive that energy from Renewable Portfolio Standard or RPS eligible projects located within 5 miles or within a DAC and SDG&E service territory. For this program, eligible projects must be sized between 500 kilowatts as a minimum and a maximum of 15 megawatts. This is because we're hoping to procure 5 megawatts from our first solicitation. With that, customers, San Diego Community Power will be responsible for auto-enrolling those customers into the Solar Advantage program when projects come online in 2027. And again, they will receive 100% renewable electricity from that project location. And on top of that, receive a 20% overall bill discount on their electric bill. This is the program requirement summarized. So again, this will be duplicative, but just for clarification purposes, the customers that are eligible for this program are our residential customers that are either enrolled in CARE or FARA. The location eligibility for customers is that they must live within a disadvantaged community within San Diego Community Power's service territory, and then the project within 5 miles of a DAC of SDG&E service territory. The estimated customer enrollment for 20 megawatts is around 9,000. And so now we're looking to procure the remaining 15 megawatts. So about 7,000 customers we're looking to auto-enroll through this solicitation. And this, of course, is going to be 100% renewable energy based on monthly usage. Our megawatt allocation is 20.16. We're subtracting the 4.61 from our previous solicitation. And the interconnection requirements are such that they need to be interconnected to SDG&E's wholesale distribution access tariff. Now, before I pass it over to my colleague Morgan, I'm going to go over the RFO overview for bidders. This disclaimer here is to let you know that each respondent acknowledges that it has read, understands, and agrees to the terms and conditions and set forth in these RFO instructions, including all of the attachments, and at our sole discretion may accept or reject any or all offers submitted in response to this RFO. This RFO is a solicitation for offers only and is not intended as an offer to enter into a contract or as a promise to engage in any formal competitive bidding or negotiation. It also does not constitute an offer to buy or create an obligation for Community Power to enter into an agreement with any party, and Community Power shall not be bound by the terms of any offer until Community Power has entered into a duly authorized and fully executed contract. So should there be any discrepancies between the RFO documents, statements made during this webinar, and the webinar slide deck and the power purchase agreement template, the PPA template will ultimately control. This is really important. So now that the solicitation is live, you can find the solicitation documents on our solicitations webpage under resources. All announcements, updates, and Q&As will be posted on the website periodically. And we ask that you send questions and communications via the question submission form hyperlinked here and available on the website, because emails sent to any other addresses or individuals, including staff, and not within the RFO submissions form or question submission form, those will not be viewed or responded to. Very lastly, I'm not going to read over these 2 slides here in totality, but we do want to take a moment to share our supplier diversity, and that we encourage diverse businesses to seek contracting opportunities with us and to reach out to us with questions and suggestions regarding the contracting process. So CCAs, including community power, are required to report to the CPUC on spend with diverse businesses as defined by the CPUC of General Order 156. And to assist community power with our reporting obligations and with evaluating its supplier outreach and other activities, proposers that are awarded the contract will be asked to voluntarily disclose their certification status with the CPUC clearinghouse. A little bit more on that on our next slide. If you have any questions or would like any additional information about this, we ask you to please visit our supplier diversity page on San Diego Community Power's website, in addition to the CPUC's supplier diversity webpage. For information on how to become certified, the process and the requirements to apply for that certification, we ask you to visit the hyperlink pasted below, which is the CPUC's Supplier Clearinghouse website. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Morgan Adam.
Thank you, Tessa. I'll be going through the next section of slides, starting with an overview of the timeline. So just to run through that briefly, we held 2 pre-RFO webinars last month. The RFO launched officially last Monday, April 7th. That brings us to today at our webinar. We will be accepting questions through 5 p.m. Pacific on May 6th, with responses posted to the RFO website on May 19th. The RFO response deadline is on September 8th, no later than 5 p.m. Pacific. We will then take about 5 weeks to follow up with any questions as necessary, and will then notify shortlisted developers. And then we've carved out approximately 3 months to finalize agreements and request approval from our board of directors. And then finally, we'll submit executed agreements to the CPUC for their final approval. And then finally, just as a reminder, all projects should plan to reach commercial operation no later than December 31st, 2028 for this solicitation. Project eligibility criteria. These are all detailed in the solicitation, but I'm going to run through basic eligibility criteria. The project must be located in SDG&E service territory and located within 5 miles of a DAC. The projects must be a new resource, RPS eligible, and in front of the meter facility. So behind the meter projects and non-renewable technologies are not eligible for this solicitation. I wanted to note that optional configurations that include paired battery energy storage will also be considered. And we prefer hybrid configurations with a single KISO meter. Those are preferred for the solicitation. So please do submit those if the sites can take them. The project should have a commercial operation date no later than December 31st, 2028. As noted before, projects should be sized between 500 kilowatts and 15 megawatts. They should plan to interconnect under SDG&E's wholesale distribution access tariff. They must comply with the California Air Resource Board's voluntary renewable electricity program. And finally, the project must qualify per the applicable CPUC rulings referenced here. No formula for an ideal proposal, but just wanted to point out some basic guidelines that will improve your odds. Most importantly and fundamentally, we want to encourage bidders to make yourself familiar with the program requirements, particularly the siting requirements, and to submit a complete and consistent proposal with illustrated path to viability. So please refrain from providing offers for highly conditional or speculative projects. As I'll summarize in future slides here, please submit competitive but achievable pricing, and know that pricing is obviously an important factor, but just one factor among six. So please highlight your project's strengths in all categories. Here are a summary of the components of a complete offer package. The offer workbook is a spreadsheet that contains the most crucial technical details of the project. And then the supporting documents listed here should be part of a broader narrative document to provide additional detail and color, and should include the following at a minimum: a site plan and single line diagram, financing plan, financial statements, org chart, interconnection study application or description of an interconnection plan, project development milestones, schedule, and finally a permitting plan. These next couple of slides, I just want to go over a few of the key submission requirements. Price, we are looking for fixed pricing, so please no escalators and no time of delivery variability. Number of offers, this is just to say that an offer should be unique to a single facility with a distinct price. If you're proposing multiple facilities, please submit them separately. If paired storage is being offered as an option, please provide pricing for a PV only as sort of a baseline offer, and then you can offer pricing for paired storage as an option to that. Term 20 years only, please. With regards to scheduling coordinator, we do not have a strong preference, so please just be clear in your proposal what you are proposing. Ownership, bidders should own the project assets or a project partner. We are not procuring assets through the solicitation, just the associated products. Please provide an expected commercial operation date, understanding that this date will be the foundation for associated project milestones and guarantees, so please be realistic. In terms of deliverability, energy-only offers are fine, but projects that can offer deliverability, status for resource adequacy are preferred, especially for projects that include paired storage. We'll be requesting security deposits in the amount of $90 per kilowatt pre-COD for development and $60 per kilowatt as a performance security that's applicable post-commercial operation through the operational term of the agreement. Guaranteed production is 80% per year of the proposed production over a 2-year true-up period. So in other words, 160% of annual proposed production over a 2-year evaluation period. Next couple slides, I'm going to go through evaluation methodology overview. So first and foremost, all projects must meet the CPUC mandated eligibility requirements as outlined in the solicitation and referenced in CPUC rulings. Beyond that binary pass-fail of eligibility, Community Power will use the same set of evaluation criteria that is applied to other procurement solicitations that we run, and which is outlined in the next slide. And that includes both quantitative factors such as price and schedule, as well as qualitative factors such as community and workforce benefits. Offers are reviewed holistically by our staff and a contracts working group that's made up of San Diego Community Power executives and board members. And we will award offers that perform best against the evaluation criteria up to the remaining program capacity, 15 megawatts. Evaluation criteria is generally divided into these 5 categories. Just to run through them, price, this is obviously a quantitative assessment that considers the products offered and the benefits to community power and our customers. The development score considers the experience and financials of the offerer and their management team, as well as the status of progress made towards development, site control, permitting, interconnection, financing, et cetera. Community benefits, this considers the level of community outreach and engagement, and really any other project benefits to the community, whether those are economic, societal, or otherwise. Workforce development considers whether, first of all, the offer meets Community Power's inclusive and sustainable workforce policy, and that considers the impacts to the local economy and workforce. And examples of relevant information in this category include expected number and duration of hires from local workforce, as well as the bidder's commitments to prevailing wage and the use of skilled labor. And then finally, environmental considerations. This is the category that considers factors such as impacts of land use, whether projects are located on previously disturbed land, and any other environmental mitigation efforts that might be expected as a result of the project. In these next couple slides, I'll go into some finer detail of specific components of the submission itself. So again, an offer form. So this is an Excel file again, the template for which is available through the RFO site. And they should be completed for each distinct project. A financing plan. So please provide as complete of a description as possible regarding your capacity and plan to finance the project, as well as any assumptions related to your pricing, including assumed incentives, tax credits, or anything else that is integral to the proposed pricing. 2 years of financial statements of the bidder or your financial guarantor. A clear org chart, including ownership structure in the form of a diagram, please. For interconnection plan, to the extent that interconnection is already underway, please provide any pertinent documentation for that. If interconnection has not yet been submitted, please plan to provide a narrative that conveys the expected timeline, process, and associated risks of interconnection. And an expected project timeline in the form of a Gantt chart that includes the major development milestones listed here through commercial operation date. For permitting, we don't expect that projects will have permits in hand at the time of submission, but please include at a minimum a narrative describing your understanding of the permits required for the project and the AHJ. A site plan detailing the project location, nameplate specifications, parcel numbers, and any environmentally sensitive areas that are on or near the sites. And then a single line diagram that includes the project, electrical specifications, and major equipment up to the point of interconnection. Just a final slide here on the submission requirements. Just as a reminder, submissions will be due on September 8th by 5 p.m. Pacific, and submissions need to be made through our online submissions form only. Please don't plan to print them or send them to my or anyone else's email. Only use the online submission portal. And then finally, just as another reminder, please be sure that all questions are submitted to the Q&A submission form online. It's very important that all questions and responses are shared publicly. So please do not attempt to have questions answered through any other channels. If after the initial Q&A period in May, there are any other process or status related questions only, we will leave the online Q&A submission form open. So we would advise bidders to use that and to please check San Diego Community Power's solicitation page regularly for any updates to the Q&A document.
Well, firstly, everyone, thank you so much for your questions and for engaging in this webinar for us today. We look forward to receiving your bids. And with that, our next steps are just going to be a reminder that we'd like you guys to submit your questions to the online question submission form by May 6th of this year at 5 p.m. Pacific time. As Morgan mentioned, we will keep the question submission form open beyond May 6th, but we are hoping that you send only questions at that point regarding the process and status of the solicitation. And with that, the final Q&A addendum will be posted on our solicitations page under the RFO listing, and that will be posted on May 19th of this year as well. Any other additional questions that come after that regarding status or process, please check back intermittently for those answers. And we ask that if you're a developer on the line, that you stay up to date. And to do so, you can register here in the hyperlink. It's also available on our Solar for Our Communities webpage so that you may be informed of any project opportunities that Community Power releases. And you can see the hyperlink. We're asking you to visit those two web pages, whether it be our Solar for Our Communities webpage or for our solicitations webpage, so that you can stay abreast of any updates that we may release. And thank you again so much. We really appreciate it. And we are very excited to see the bids we receive. And again, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it from all of us at San Diego Community Power. Thank you.